I will share a bit more on reflection, but I've been having for the past, I will say, few months based on my experience. So I'm gonna start first with a small introduction of like who I am and where these all things come from, and then I'm gonna talk about like two stories, and then like I want to kind of like be a bit interactive. So I'm talking about Peter and Jane. I don't know if you guys know, like it's quite a famous reading books. So the first story is like Peter injured himself while skateboarding, and the second story I will share is like Jane wants to complete her first marathon. And then at the end, I will just finish with some closing, maybe some exercise. Just look more this like as a thought exercise when you guys can just and please share. Okay, so a bit about myself. So my name is Matthieu Mertens. I like to say I'm half French, half Malaysian by blood because my mother is French, my dad is German, and half Malaysian by heart. I know it's a lot of halves, but Malaysia boleh, right? So while half Malaysian by blood, by heart, because my wife is Malaysian, I've been here for 11 years, and both my kids are Malaysian and born here. I'm the founder of like Clinic, so you can Google it online. It doesn't exist yet, so it's a bit of a stealth mode, and I'm trying to build it up. Yeah, I'm a functional leader, product design operations. I kind of like the no code, low code, meaning like building stuff, but I don't consider myself as a developer, even though I was a developer before. And then like I work in several like companies here in Malaysia, in France, and I did as well a bit of venture. I one of the founding partners of BTBG Initiative, Malaysian social enterprise here in Malaysia. Okay, so let's start first as a reflection. So how it started, like during my time at StoreHub, they were applying this like framework from Reed Hastings, which is the co-founder of Netflix, and he said basically like you should run a company like a professional sport team, not a family. So I kind of like agree the family part because like me, I'm not gonna fire my son, I'm not gonna fire my daughter, even though like they like to give me hard time. But yeah, this is how family is, right? You need to keep with them. Working business is different, right? So, but me as working as a product leader and all this kind of thing, I realized this framework had kind of like some challenges. The first one is like the ambiguity. I think it was quite clear in the previous talk. When you build something, you actually don't really know what's going on. There's a lot of things you discover, and actually it's kind of like playing, and there's constant and rapid evolution. So it's like as if you start playing a game, and while you're playing the game, you realize like the first move you did half an hour ago, change the rule now, and all this kind of thing. So it's quite challenging. Engineers are not easily replaceable. It's not because like, oh, you're not performing, you go out, this new guy come in the project and going to do better. It doesn't work like that. And then after, like how to keep score. I mean, there's a lot of like OKRs and all this kind of thing, but it's not like as clear. For example, like when you talk about sales, yeah, you get a client to sign. How engineering perform, I think there's a lot of ways you can discuss and all this kind of thing. So I thought like, but what I like the idea is like, oh, sports team. So kind of like, where is there any other business but I can take inspiration from to run a tech company? And my proposition is actually like, you should run your tech team like a private clinic. Okay. Why private? Because at the end of the day, it's to make money. Okay. Public. Okay, you need to like whoever comes in, you need like it's all this kind of thing. Private. I mean, you can still as well run like a public clinic, but maybe it's different type of business. Okay. So not for the sake of the exercise, I will share with you two different stories and try to kind of like link it up. I don't know like if anybody here is not working in the tech team, but if you're working in digital product space, try to kind of like link it to day-to-day life. The first one is like, yeah, this is Peter, and he injured himself doing skateboard. So let's go through his journey. So the first step is the accident. So Peter falls while skateboarding and experiences severe pain and abuse deformity on his ankle, indicating a serious injury. So yeah, every time there's an issue, there's always a user first. Even though you have all the monetary tools, there's always the user first that feel the pains. Sometimes it's him doing something, sometimes it's a bug, but there is the first experience from the user. Then there's the self-assessment. I mean, everybody, I think, tried it, start the computer again, switch off, switch on, all this kind of thing. So then try to understand yourself, what is the issue, right, as a user. And then you realize, like, damn, it's quite bad. I'm going to go contact the support, which is going to emergency. The first thing that happened when he reached the emergency room, Peter is quickly triaged by a nurse. I don't know if you guys know what means triage. I think like when you arrive in a hospital, maybe you realize there's like P0, P1, P3. Green, orange, red. Red, life-threatening. Orange, quite bad. Green, okay, can lie and can wait. No problem. So, yeah, so the nurse realized, yeah, potential feature. But like you can see here, there's no, you're going still like throughout the diagnosis. So there's no clear diagnosis yet. But from what the nurse can see from the feedback she's receiving, she can kind of like see what is the potential issues. And then there's the diagnosis. It's like actually where the doctor comes in. Doctor comes in, say, okay, we need to do X-ray. So like, same like when you have bug issues, check server logs and all this kind of thing. All this kind of thing, okay? Second part, okay, too bad, needs to go to surgery. Okay, so doctor doesn't start to take all these tools and do the surgery on the spot, right? You need to get the things ready, get prepared. So talk about the explication and all this kind of things, surgery. So you need to get the client's feedback, yeah, this is what's going to happen. Of course, there's a cost, the risk and all this kind of thing. Do you agree? Or okay, let's plan. The surgery itself. Going, doing all those things, making sure everything is fine, and then like it's what the surgeon has with all his experience. Even though it's an accident, most likely it's a unique accident, the surgeon knows how to fix it and fix it properly. Then after, of course, there's a monitoring. So this is something as a sometimes we tend to forget, oh, the bug is fixed, let's move on. No, you just need to track back, right? Make sure the bug is actually fixed. There's no side effects and all this kind of thing. And then after, rehabilitation plan. Okay, let's make sure like monitoring what happened, there's like the thing is getting better and all this kind of thing. Okay? So this is the story of Peter. Do you guys have any questions about that? Or any feedback? Okay. Let's move to Jane. Okay. When I was looking at the pictures, so it seems that she's famous. Yeah, okay, let's consider she's famous. And because she's famous, because she's rich, okay, it's no stereotype, but then like, means she has access to kind of like people. So Jane wants to do her first marathon. It's not going to be her by herself. It's going to be like her with a team of doctors and physiologists and all this kind of thing to help out. Okay? So I will say this example is a bit less straightforward, but I think it's more to tackle how to build new products, how to kind of like, not to talk about the feature, but more about, okay, you have these new objectives that you want to reach, this new goal, which is quite like clear. Run the first marathon, how do I get to there? Okay? So let's look at Jane's journey. The first part is the goal setting. It's very important because like, it's not about, oh, I want this. It's like what you want it for. Okay, what is your goal? She says she wants to complete a marathon. Then as well, like the reality, but you realize it's quite a big challenge. You cannot do it alone. You need help. You need people to help you. So she started to consult a sport physician as well as a coach to help her out in this journey. Okay? The second part is the assessment. Of course, like it's kind of like where in the technical part where she like me as a product manager, when I started to have like my first idea of feature, straight away as soon as possible you ask the engineer, yeah, can or cannot. So there's a lot of things to check, a lot of things to test, and then like assessment. Okay, are you in a good shape? What is required and what is the plan? Which is the first step, the plan development. So you see this, she hasn't even started running yet. She already went through 3 steps. And then the plan is like, okay, let's agree on how we're going to make it happen. And there's going to be a lot of steps. It's a whole project with different timeline. Let's work on that. And of course, it's not going to be her alone. The whole team is going to be there to help her to monitor, to make it happen. The third part is the training, which is actually the hardest part, right? It's like when you start to get things grinding. So plan is there, you start rolling, things goes well. Unfortunately, it doesn't. There's always issues, right? Like, I mean, like who work on a feature, little bug, feature without bugs and without issue? I guess you have my whole life respect, even though I think you're lying a bit. But yeah, so of course there's setbacks and all this kind of thing, and then you need to adjust. It's not like setbacks, of course, bring you down, but it's learning how to adjust to this kind of thing, and always not forgetting your goal. Same when you build a new feature. And then, taking time, preparation for the day. So, in terms of like product management, go to market, how do you make the whole thing, like how you make a release plan, how you make sure people are ready and all this kind of thing. So we like the last rush, and finally the race day, which is the launch. Like making sure everything goes well, tracking, monitoring and all this kind of thing, all the way to the post-race recovery and reflection is something as well we tend to forget quite often. Oh, product is out, let's close, move to something else. No, it's not finished yet. Like there's a lot of learning. Let's reflect on what happened, what we can do next, and all this kind of thing. Okay? So this is for the Jane's journey. Before we wrap up, maybe just for a thought exercise, those are working in like tech companies and all. So if your tech team was a medical team, who will you be? Of course, everyone wants to be the head surgeon, but most likely you're not. So maybe you just, I won't say you just do not, maybe you're a nurse. I mean, nurse is super important. And maybe you're a nurse, maybe you are a specialist, maybe you're a generalist, maybe you're the person doing the x-ray, maybe you are the person at the office desk becoming new customers and all this kind of thing. This is more towards those working in software engineering, like thinking about this kind of thing, like maybe you can ask yourself, next time you go to emergency, I don't wish you guys to kind of like break your leg or this kind of thing, but if you guys one day go to emergency, try to kind of look how is it going on, and maybe there's something you can learn from that, or when you go to doctor, when you go to dentist and all this, I think how they manage, especially I think what is important for like medical healthcare, because it's talking about pain. If you look at all the mission statement of hospital and all, the main thing that they mention is about like pain management. They want to make sure people don't suffer. So it's a bit like how we can see as well, like how we make sure the suffering is as low as possible, and how do we manage the suffering as well. And then the last part, which is like I mentioned about, I think it's part of the Jen story I didn't mention earlier, but being healthy is super important. It's like we're actually like, for how I see it, something that I understand is quite good, like it's all these issues of technical debt. Does anybody doesn't know what is technical debt? Okay, so technical debt is quite a famous concept for anyone working in technical product. Is basically the idea is like like when you're building something technical, there's always a fast way and a slower way. The fast way comes in with a debt because you're taking corners, but you're supposed to pay back. Okay, the paying back is another, actually doesn't happen, or quite not often. So me, when I say like, instead of like working, I mean this mindset of, oh, let's build debts, I mean I don't like debts, let's try to be healthy instead. So try to build things that actually like working and good. So when you finish it, you know there's improvement, but the improvement required are not debts. You see what I mean? It's things that you can improve. So the healthy part, I will say, is very important. And you don't need, when you look healthy, you don't need to look at medicine. you look at vitamins. How can I boost my product? How can I boost my performance? How can I make the things better? Not how can I make the thing less worse? Okay, that's it. I think for now, I hope you guys have some thoughts about it, and please share. Before I wrap up, this is my LinkedIn. Please feel free to connect with me. It's a new thing that I'm building in, so if you're interested to know more about it, I'm more happy to share. If you have feedbacks, share as well. I'm open for business, so yeah, if you're looking for someone like me, feel reach out. And yeah, thank you so much. Do you guys have any questions?
I think the metaphor works quite well. What inspires you? Do you find inspiration in the hospital world that would translate to the tech world? What can you take from the hospital to the tech? Have you learned something from the hospital that would translate?
Yeah, I think in terms of like learning, I haven't like doing deep research in this. It's more about like, I saw the dots connecting. Like what I felt quite well is like, I mean, I have kids, and then like they fell sick, and one of the classic way of doing it when you have sick kids in Malaysia, you just go to the emergency room. So you go emergency, then you see all those things happening, and then while waiting, I saw this like the green, orange, red, and I felt like, wow, it's actually like how we look into bug prioritizations and all these kind of things. So I kind of like experience it myself and understand, yeah, it totally makes sense. Like P0, I think every engineers, when they work on software, they know what is a P0. Like server is down, critical functions are down, no payment and all this kind of thing. This is a P0. Everybody needs to stop working on that. So this is one of the things. How the rest, what I feel is important as well is like the pain. The focus is really on the pain and the suffering. So it's not so much about like, oh, this is all the drugs I need to take. It's like, what are you suffering and how can I help you in this part? Because like sometimes as well, it's not about fixing the issue, it's just to make it bearable. Actually, like it's a lot of work like that. Sometimes you realize like, oh, there's something which is annoying. Let's try to make it less annoying, but acceptable, and don't have to do the whole thing to make it sweet. And the last one as well, I think, is the cost of it. For example, like let's say I want to lose weight. There's two ways. One is like I start to eat healthy, I do workout, and I manage my diet, I take vitamins and all this kind of thing. This will take time, it's difficult, but the cost is quite low. Another way is I go plastic surgery. It will be costly, it will be fast, but then after like, so it's like what I learned from that, there's no one solution for the problem. It's always what is the solution that fits the patient the most. Does it answer your question?
Especially the listening to the brain, right?
Yeah.
Listening to your client to be more empathetic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely, yeah. Any other questions?
Hello. So going back to Jane and Peter.
Yeah.
So you showed us the two flows, and if I may tag them as, or qualify them as the happy flow. But you know sometimes if you take the exception of diagnosis,
Yeah.
you go to hospital, they might give you a misdiagnosis.
Yeah.
So how would you handle this kind of situation?
Yeah, so I guess it exists as well in the real world. I mean, at the end of the day, you go see doctor, give you diagnosis. If you not sure about this, you can still go check another doctor as well. So I guess it's kind of like what's happening when you're trying to buy SaaS software. Like for example, like you want to buy a CRM, you're gonna see people from HubSpot coming to you, people from Salesforce, they're gonna all give you like, their own diagnosis, of course, that matches their own drug, which is like where the private clinic comes in, especially for Malaysia. As a French person, there's a clear separation between like the doctor and the pharmacy. I was a bit of a culture shock when I arrived. I get the guy prescribing me the medicine, and then straight away you go out and then buying the medicine. Obviously, there's some like ethical issues there, but yeah, it's the same, right? So it's always the user at the end of the day. Like you need to kind of like look into what you feel and does it really match your pain, and then if you're not sure, you can still go to another practitioner to get the second diagnosis.
But in this case, you said, for example, a private clinic.
Yeah.
It's not the practitioner, I need to change it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, of course, and it has a cost. It's the same. So when you have a software, you subscribe for a software for like 1 year, you realize it's not a good fit, you have to change, there's going to be a cost to it, and all this kind of thing. It's the same issue. And then, of course, like, then you cannot claim back. Of course, you can try to claim back, but then like where actually I think we can expire as well from private clinic, they have all the legal things to make them cover and all these kind of things you need to consider as well when you build your own product. If things goes wrong, you don't want the person to go back to you and all this kind of thing. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you so much.